today we're going to be using a lot of techniques that I normally use in my artwork, which is using collage and sort of handmade textures. And I quite often sort of scan these in and make them digitally, but today we're going to be really stripping those back and doing it all just by hand. And I really hope it'll be a very fun thing. I hope you have a lot of fun. So what we're going to be making today is, so yes, it's called a Leporello, or sometimes they're called concertinas. And it's a way of folding that you create a sort of this accordion style booklet. And I just think they're really lovely sort of tactile objects. And it's a really nice way to tell a story and construct your own little narrative. And the theme we're going to be working on is we're making our own little sculpture gardens. So what I mean by this is we're going to be focusing on certain things that we love in our lives or things that bring us joy, and building up these little, as you can see here, sort of plinths around them, working with collage, negative space, and drawing materials. So at the end, I'm hoping we'll all have something, you know, your own version that's personal to you of this. So the materials I'm going to be using today are, we've got 2 pieces of white card, and I mean really we only need the one, but I thought in case you need another for any reason. So we've got those 2, and we've got some coloured card here. I've actually got the most boring colours in the world, but so yeah, if you've got an array of different colours, or if you've just gone for slightly more muted tones, basically anything goes, whatever you're drawn to. And alongside those, so I've got a selection of pens and pencils. Here, just some crayons, some colouring pens, like markers, and a trusty massive big pencil here. And then lastly, I've got some double-sided tape and some glue stick. So the first thing that we're going to do is create the sort of the base of our concertina. So in order to do this, we're going to get our A4 sheet of card, and you just want to fold that in half lengthways. So just like so. So you should have something like this. And you really want to get that fold like really pushed in here, just because we're going to tear this. And so the tear is going to be much easier to do if that's a really like crisp, good fold. And what I sometimes like to do is, if I've got a really clean pen, you can sort of run that along the edge just to really like flatten it down. And that's just going to make it a bit easier to tear basically. So we'll fold it back out, and we're just going to rip into that first fold, and then we're just going to pull down the sides here. So hopefully you have a fairly even tear line, but if you for any reason you know, you tear into it a bit too much, then you've got another sheet of paper hopefully to work with. But also if you do get a tear into it, don't worry about it too much. We can always patch over those bits with our collage. So really don't worry if there's a bit more of a tear than you'd like. Okay, and then what we're going to do is, so you should have these two lengths here. So with my first length, I'm just going to fold that back to myself. There we go. So we've just got a fold there. And then the next thing I'm going to do, so you can see we've gone from this long one to the half. Then the next thing I'm going to do is fold this guy just up to the edge. So you're folding it back on itself. So you'll begin to see we've got a sort of booklet already beginning to form. So if we turn that over and we again fold it back on itself, so what we're left with is a W. So there's our W. So we'll put that to one side and we're going to do the exact same thing for the other length of paper. So folding it back on itself here. There we go. Or I might turn it over actually so it's facing me. So it's like this, like a notebook. And then again, folding this piece just back up to the top. So folding it back on itself, folding that down. And the same on the other side. So here we have our two W's. Now what we want to do, I'm going to actually show them to you this way, because what we want is we want a W and then we want an M on the other side. So you want them facing the opposite way to each other. Because what we're going to do is using our tape, we're going to join these two pages together. So we're left with our lovely springy concertina. So we'll get our W and our M. I mean, like, you know, whichever way you like to see them. So for this one here, what I'm going to do, get my double-sided tape, and I'm just gonna, with my eye, sort of measure roughly how much I need. Tear that off, should just tear quite easily. And just stick that bit on one side here. So you can't see too clearly, but there we go, it's stuck on that edge. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the other edge. And if for any reason you don't have double-sided tape, you can use your glue stick for this as well. I just find it can be a bit easier with the tape. So here we go. So we've got our tape on both sides there. And just going to peel that side off. So we've got the sticky side. Same again here. And then, so that's our W with the sticky side. And then we're going to get our M here. And we're just going to stick that on. So you can hold it down with one finger so it doesn't spring up at you. And we're just going to try and lean that up as best we can. So stick those together. Give it a good old rub so it sticks. And there we have it. That's our concertina here. Lovely. So hopefully we're all along the same sort of stage. And so the next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to go back to my one that I made earlier. So I'll turn it around this way. So this is exactly what I've done for this one that I made. And so I just took a few moments really to think about the things that that bring me joy. And I came up with this list myself, so I'm going to bring that over. So if you, on one of your pieces of paper, if you want to just make a few notes and just write down some of the things that you love. So for me, I was thinking about, you can see here, so this is the sun. And because of the techniques that we're using, you can be really quite abstract, and I'd really encourage that. I think that it's a really great opportunity to just sort of channel through your eyes the things that you see. So, you know, this is my shell, and it might not be the most sort of accurate shell you've ever seen, but it's just getting those shapes that we can work with when we're ripping the paper. And, you know, we're going to draw on top of those, have a lot of things all coming together. So it's really just about how you see things, not, you know, how they definitely are. So for me, I was thinking of the sun, finding nice shells and stones on the beach. Things that I thought could help with this are when you think of the senses. So it's thinking about smell. So here I've put the smell of a fresh tomato pulled off the plant. Tastes, so I've got a big bowl of pasta here. I've also got a nice ripe juicy melon. So I think the senses, if you're feeling a bit like, what can I put, or a bit daunted by it, think about your favorite smells, you know, like the smell after it rains, or the smell of cut grass, clean sheets, your favorite tastes, the foods you love. And I'm just gonna also just sit and write a few other things down. So yeah, I think there's nothing better than getting into nice clean sheets. So I'm going to add that to my list. Other things, so like the smell of my favorite shampoo. And all of these things we're just going to place on our little monuments in our sculpture garden. And then, you know, we can draw our little people sort of walking by and interacting with them. So let's just sit and have a think of some other things. Toast. I mean, that's probably my absolute favorite thing. So we're going to put toast, some other things. When I see my dog's tail wagging like crazy, I'm going to put, I can make like a little sculpture of a wagging tail. The sea, here we go. The smell of the sea. So this can be as personal to you as you like, really. But also, if you can't think of anything, feel free to take a few of mine. I think we've also got a little resource sheet which has some ideas on there. So you've got some images of like shells on the beach and sunshine and things like that. Maybe you hate sunshine, maybe you love rain. We can do a big monument to like a big drop of rain, or, you know, a thunderstorm or anything like that. So it's totally up to you. So let's do a couple more. Yeah. comfy socks.
So Lucy, I do have to ask, your favourite, you love toast, would it be on white bread or brown bread?
It would be on white bread, like really thick bloomer. I actually had such nice bread this morning, like a proper slab of a bloomer with loads of Marmite. It was, so good. Yeah. There's a real treat when you find, like, when you get a new favorite bread as well, when you're really like, yeah, this is the bread, and you're just picturing like everything that you're going to put on it. Yeah, there we go. That could be another one. Like, what are your favorite, like condiments? I mean, I know that can be a controversial thing. Is a jam a condiment, or is it just ketchup and things like that? But you know, maybe you love ketchup. I do love ketchup. So cool. We're going to put that down. So I'm hoping that we have a couple of things. It doesn't matter if you haven't got like a whole massive list. Even if you've only got one or two for now, you might find that as we're going along, what you're doing sort of sparks other ideas in your mind, makes you think about other things. So again, like, don't feel any pressure. It's just, we'll go with whatever you've got. So I'm just going to put my list to the side here and bring back my blank concertina. So I am going to begin. So let's get our paper. So I'm going to start with this sandy colour here. And what I've always found whenever I've been making, it was actually when I was at college, I had a teacher that said that she always felt really intimidated by a blank page in a sketchbook. And she'd always, like, even if it was painting white on top of it or putting like some paper on top of it, it's like that initial stage that can just make something a bit more, it's not as daunting when you're just faced with a white page. It's like you've already begun and you've got a basis to work from. So that's what I'm going to encourage here. We're really just putting down some key shapes. So for example, here, I've started making some plinths. So I've been thinking about my things that I love and what I'm going to position them on. And a lot of this has just come from just tearing out paper, putting it down, and then it'll come together, you know, you'll put your things on top of them in a way that just feels right. So for the moment, we're just going to put our sort of base shapes down, is how I would describe it. So I'm going to cut out, move this out of the way. So first of all, I would just say, just rip some shapes. I mean, bearing in mind that your concertina, it's also called Leporello, and that's what I have called it for this. So it is quite small. So when you're tearing your shapes, just bear that in mind, really. So just start putting down some things, and then we'll begin gluing them down. So something I think is quite nice is, as we're making our sculpture garden, it's quite nice to think of the sort of plinths that you might see in art museums and art galleries, those sorts of places. So we can make some a bit like staggered. So here we go, sort of different sizes of torn paper, like this, that sort of thing. And then, yeah, just tear some paper up, and we're just going to pop that down and work around it. So I'm going to do that now. So what I am going to do, because I find I get really messy and stuck when I'm gluing things, I'm just going to put a sheet of paper down here that I can glue my torn paper onto, just so that's what's getting sticky rather than my tabletop or the Leporello itself. So I'm going to begin just by piecing on some pieces of the torn paper. So yeah, these can just be a bit of a background really that we're going to build up around them. So I'm going to stick this one.
Just to let everyone know, while everyone's sticking their papers down, that we've got 25 minutes left of the workshop today. Please let us know in the Q&A where you're joining us from. If you have a question for Lucy, we always love doing hellos and shout outs, so please pop that into the Q&A.
Okay. And one of the things that I love about this sort of use of the Leporello itself is that you're going to have each individual page that is its own unique thing, you know. So if I just show a page by itself, but when you pull it out, it becomes an entirely different thing altogether. So you've got those, I just think, yeah, it's a really lovely way of sort of telling a story. So with that in mind, one of the things I would say is if you can potentially avoid the creases when you're gluing it down, no worries if you haven't, but you might just need a bit more glue, because then when you fold it together, the paper might be tempted to sort of peel up a bit. So you might just need a bit more glue. So I'm just going to continue sticking some more shapes down.
And while Lucy's sticking again, I just want to say a big hello to everyone joining us from Lavender Ward, Queen Mary's Hospital. Thanks so much for joining us today. And a special shout out to Snowsfield's Adolescent Unit, who will be watching this back on demand.
Okay, now I'm going to begin. Now we've got some basic shapes down, and I feel like it's not looking quite as daunting. We've already got something there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a different colour, and I'm going to begin working with that idea of making my plinths. So I'm going to do a couple of plinths. So some of them might just be literally like this, and then we can either draw or collage our thing that we love on top of it, or we can sort of add onto it as we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that one there. And so you're just thinking about, you know, like as if you were walking through, this is your garden, and as if your little figures are just going to be like walking through the whole thing. So in terms of sort of size, I think that's quite a nice thing to think about. And also in terms of sort of like staggered space, you know, we can have some at the forefront and we can have some behind. Start with that.
We've got another hello to do as well. So another hello to Ward 2 at Springfield Hospital, who are really enjoying the session today, Lucy. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to hear it. There we go. So Just going to pop that one a little bit staggered behind. So I like to think of these plinths as well. You know, you could have, when you think of sculptures, you get a lot of organic forms, which is where I think that actually ripping the paper is a really nice touch, because it feels more like you've sort of, you know, carved them out of a rock, because they've got these rough edges. And then, so I'm going to start building up a few of those shapes that I talked about before, where you've got more almost like steps, I suppose. So I'm just going to rip like smaller pieces here. So let's put one here, I think.
Just to give everyone a time check, we've got about 15 minutes of the workshop today, and I'm just going to interject once again to say hello to Westway's inpatient service. I'm really enjoying the session. Thanks so much for being here with us today. And a big hello to JBU unit at Maudsley Hospital. Thanks so much for being with us today, guys.
So now I think I'm going to move a bit of my gluey paper so you can see. So we've got a good basis for quite a few of our things that our sculptures are going to stand on here. So what we're going to begin doing, and you can do this in whichever way you like and mix it up. So for example, for this one, where I've done a sun, I could have ripped out this piece of paper and drawn my sun on the paper and stuck it down, or you can just draw straight onto that. So I'll show you here. So for this, I'm going to do that to toast. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip. And so whatever you're working with, whatever you're wanting to depict, you could try just ripping it out of the paper. So, I mean, it might not look much like a piece of toast here, but we're going to rectify that. So I'm going to stick that on. There we go. And I'm going to, using my selection of pens, which I've got here, I can add a bit of detail. So, make sure this is right. So I'm going to add a bit of edging. My nice piece of toast here. And I can add, I'm going to go for some lovely jam. So we're already beginning to build these things up. And then, so next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the smell of the sea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw. I'm going to draw. Am I going to draw it or should I collage it? I'm going to collage it. So I'm going to basically make a big nose, and that's going to be what is smelling the sea. Okay. Let's put that in here. So I've got a nose, but it is not attached to anything, as you can see. So what I can do here is I'm going to just draw in like a face. got the nostril. And then I'm going to draw in that it's on this little statue base. There we go. And we're going to put the C behind that in green, I think. So that's my representation of the sea. Although I have realised the green maybe makes it look like a bad smell. Yeah, that's my interpretation of the sea. So that's fine by me. Okay. Then up here, so I'm going to do the sun here, and I'm just going to draw that again.
I think what's so lovely about what it is that you're doing, Lucy, is that there's no like, nothing has to be to scale, and everything feels so spontaneous and just kind of doing exactly what you feel. And I guess there's so many more other materials that you could bring into this as well, such as like glitter, stencils, just however it is that people want to draw, really.
Absolutely. And I think it's really nice. So, you know, today we're thinking about our favorite things, but I think it's a really nice sort of idea for a card, for, you know, like a birthday or a special event, when you make that for someone else and really think about, you know, the things that they like. I think it can be, you know, it's such a nice sort of tactile thing to give someone that you've really thought about. So again, and one of the things that I really like to do in my work is use negative space. So one of the ways that I've done that here, which I'm going to show you. So for this bowl, instead of doing my whole bowl kind of made of a collage, I haven't torn the shape of this semicircle. I've worked with the lines that this piece of collage has given me. So with that in mind, I'm going to take something else on my list. So I'm going to take ketchup. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tear a piece. So I've got quite a large piece here. But what I can do is rip almost like the negative shape of my bottle. So here you can see I've got the sort of outline bit of a bottle. So I can put that on my collage. Let's put it here, for example. And you can really layer up your pieces and just see kind of what feels right and what works for you. That's really what I love so much about collage. So here, so I've got this sort of outline shape. You can see a little bit here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to add the other part of the bottle. And then I'm going to draw a tomato on it so we know it is ketchup. There we go. And then I can make my little thing that it's going to sit on. I'm just going to colour in on top.
And just to let everyone know, we've got about 10 minutes left of the workshop today.
So yeah, really, we're just keeping going with this until we build things up. And what you can do is keep adding to it. We're going to keep adding different colours. So we can add in and and use more sort of our own drawn bits. So here I'm gonna actually just draw my flint bin that my sculpture is going to stand atop of. Like this. And then I'm just going to draw it. So I'm going to draw my bowl of pasta here. And I think it's really lovely when you get the interaction of things. So I'm going to draw over that bit that I collaged earlier. And to me, those are the bits that I really love, are when you have that interaction of the paper, the pencil, and then your other different mediums all sort of sitting around each other, working together. And I'm going to use the same one, some spaghetti. And as you start to build up your collage, you can, what I've done here is make it look more like a garden. So we can add in sort of plants, grass, little maybe stars or clouds, things that are going on, and then little people that are wandering by, sort of looking at these things. So let's do that now. So I'm gonna add a bit more gray, like over here. More of that colour.
What's really lovely as well, Lucy, is that this looks like you're kind of starting to tell a story and kind of the journey across the concertina or the Leporello, and kind of where you're going to place the people and what it is that they're seeing. It's really beautiful. It's really coming to life.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a nice thing to think about. As I say, like this, I think just having that sort of linear journey is quite a lovely thing. And I mean, plants are one of my favorite things to draw. So I'm just going to draw some nice big leafy bits here. And again, I can just do some grass coming down. And using all these different materials, I think you get a really nice range of like the patterns that you can create. So I definitely need something bigger here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a flower. And what I will do is I'm going to use a bit of the basis. So I'm going to rip this bit out to the center of my flower and stick that down. And then I'm just going to draw around it. Like so. And then I'm going to use this.
Just a time check for everyone. We've got about 5 minutes left of today's workshop.
So I hope that even if you don't sort of fill your concertina exactly today, then that it's something that if you're enjoying it, that you might like to carry on with, because as I say, it's a really nice thing to continue working onto, and there's kind of no end to the possibilities of things that you can do when you just keep adding on, keep building up, and just seeing what feels right with you. So here we go. I'm going to draw. I'm going to just add a bit more greenery behind here.
Lucy, we've got a very special hello to you all the way from New York at the Creative Centre, and that's Maxine that's joining us today. He says it's a very lovely workshop and it's very inspiring.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Maxine. That's lovely to hear. And so we can even put, so I've done some grass here, but you know, we are walking through a garden, so feel free to add in maybe some other little floral elements just sitting amongst the grass. And like this, we can connect some bits up together. So you see it really starts to like flow through the whole of the booklet. And then one of the last things I'll do is just draw, I think, a few people sort of enjoying it. So we could have someone sat on the side. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Sat on the side of my toast sculpture. Maybe they're eating a piece of toast at the toast sculpture. Maybe. Another person maybe just lying underneath. A couple of people in the background. So, so yeah, there we go. If we start to just build these things up, I hope that it's funny. I think the more that you work in this sort of method, the more it just becomes, it feels quite intuitive. You start to just really think about the balance of what colours you're working with, what feels right in what place. It just sort of becomes something that you really feel out. And you know, like I say, there's no right or wrong. It's just really about that piecing together and constructing your own little story.
Amazing. Thank you so much for such a fantastic workshop today, Lucy. It's been hugely imaginative and really simple, beautiful concepts that I've no doubt everyone's going to have kind of a million different interpretations of. And everyone that's joining us that's made a Leporello today, we'd absolutely love to see them. So you can upload those to the online gallery on our website. And thank you once again to Lucy on behalf of everyone that's joined us today and Hospital Rooms.
Thank you so much for everyone for having me and for joining me today and allowing me to share my artwork with you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Lucy. Thanks to everyone that's let us know where you've been joining us from. It's always amazing to have you all with us live on a Thursday. It's time now to launch our end of workshop poll. If you could please indicate on the screen how you found the workshop today. This will really help us to improve and build the Digital Art School as we continue to grow and develop our new terms. So that should be appearing on your screen now. And we'll just give everyone a few moments to read through that and answer it. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Thanks everyone for submitting your responses. I'm just going to let that run through to the end of the workshop. Richard, if you could please bring back our slideshow. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Richard. So if you're still here with us as a participant, I'd really like to share with you the story of hospital rooms and how the workshop today has come about. So we are a London-based arts and mental health charity, and we transform inpatient NHS mental health units with extraordinary art. So we began the digital art school in response to COVID-19 lockdowns when our in-person work in mental health units was put on hold. It's been hugely important for us to build a creative community where we can join together globally and to feel part of something really special. You can find the library of our past projects and all of the previous Digital Art School workshops on our YouTube channel, where you can subscribe and find a variety of original and imaginative workshops with world-class artists such as Lucy today. From pattern making to painting with sound, fashion illustration, and so many more, please have a look and do subscribe to our channel. We also have a Digital Art School newsletter, which keeps you informed of upcoming workshops, the materials you'll need for them, along with any relevant downloads, as well as links to last week's video if you missed it or you'd like a recap. You can sign up for that at hospital-rooms.com. We love when you share your artworks with us by uploading to our online gallery, and you can do so anonymously, or you can let us know your name and where you are. If you've created a Leporello today, either joining us live or watching this back on demand, we'd really love to see them. We will be back next week, Thursday at 2 p.m. for another workshop with Trace Like an Ace with London-based artist Jackson Rees. Once again, from myself and everyone on the Hospital Rooms team, thank you all so much for joining us today. And another big thank you once again to the amazing Lucy Sherston for leading today's lovely workshop. We'll see you all again on Thursday, 30th of September at 2 p.m. Thanks so much, everyone.